On my kicker tonight, I begin by wishing the management and staff of the Alchemist bar in Nairobi a happy Madaraka Day, even if a day later. Just a few days before Madaraka Day, the Alchemist Club dominated the news headlines after it reportedly introduced racially segregated lines for its patrons. The Alchemist Club reportedly had one line for black people like myself and another line for white people and Asians. Now, Alchemist, that was breathtaking. How ironical. And what a way to rain on our Madaraka Day parade. But again, I make assumptions. Maybe the management and staff at Alchemist are not actually familiar with Madaraka Day. Briefly, 59 years ago, Kenyans of black skin like myself attained the right to self-rule, in Swahili, Madaraka. This was preceded by a long, difficult, and bitter struggle by a combination of independence struggle political leaders and the armed rebellion movement called Mau Mau that kicked out those who propagated things like separate queues along racial lines. If what was reported and seen in that short video clip about the Alchemist bar holds true, then it may help the proprietors and managers of that establishment to note that it's been a whole 59 years since those bad habits were kicked out of here. The video was most offending, to say the least. It is an insult to our Madaraka Day and an insult to our nation and our flag. It is also disturbing to read that this may not even have been the first time or first incident of racist nature at the Alchemist bar. Back in 2018, the management apologized for the racist treatment a customer reportedly suffered at the premises. Now, as we process the latest apology from the Alchemist bar, the management of that establishment, Kenyans must use this opportunity to confront the quiet disease of racism that is actually part of life in Kenya. 2 years ago, a high-end restaurant was in the headlines for racially profiling its customers here in Nairobi. In that restaurant, considered popular in Nairobi, waiters and managers showed open preference for white clientele, and their services were seen as disproportionately responsive depending on the color of the client. And just before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, some unacceptable attitudes were reported in some of the hotels along the Kenyan coastline. Some Kenyans reported being discriminated against on basis of their black color, and some even ended up filing lawsuits in court against some of those hotels. Then came the ugly incident in which a Chinese chef was captured on camera whipping a black Kenyan ostensibly for being late to work. That image was, to me, the signature moment of national humiliation. But it never stopped there, apparently. The social media, and you can Google that, is awash with images of black Kenyans being humiliated, largely on the basis of their color. Now, 59 years into self-rule, we have to draw the line. We cannot be the country that shall give a live reminder of South Africa's apartheid-era policies that physically separated people on the basis of their color. Westlands, Nairobi, and Alchemist Bar must not be allowed to be the new home of blacks-only, white-only lanes. The thought itself is deplorable, let alone that short video clip. As the city-county government gets to the bottom of the Alchemist matter, all severe consequences should be on the table for Alchemist if found guilty of racist conduct. Other establishments with similar ways of doing things should also be put in the clear that this is not acceptable. To fellow Kenyans who fall victim to racial discrimination, get a spine. Racial discrimination is a direct assault on one's own dignity, and the defense of that dignity is not a crime. I still can't understand how black people actually agreed to form a separate queue from their white counterparts. If there were 2 lines at the Alchemist bar, all those that lined up in the blacks-only lane are nothing short of collaborators in the crime of racial discrimination. As Martin Luther King Jr. said in one of his many timeless quotes, "A man can't ride your back unless it is bent." That is my kicker.